Now I'm going to tell you about my friend Patrick. So he has recently lost his job. His story is in no way unique. He spent about 20 years working for his company and ended up as a senior executive, climbing up to the top of his career ladder at a steady pace. It seemed like his rocket ship to success was unstoppable. But, however, he left his service. He was given a pink slip, and during those 15 minutes, which he had before going to his boss to discuss the details, he was thinking about his career, about those 20 years. He was told that his contract is terminated, that the times are tough, and so they should make sacrifices, and the half of the people whom he was running would be laid off as well. But what sacrifices could he make? He had and he has 3 kids and a mortgage, so he had something to lose. But at least he could get a generous severance package, and he could go. He could take his wife and kids to Hawaii, or invest those money in stocks. So he was standing there in the corridor, and he didn't know whether he should start looking for another job. He was holding in his cardboard box not only his he was thinking that he would leave the building with the cardboard box, and in that box would be not just his belongings, but also his professional excellence and his pride. So he remembered that he came there for the first time when he was 26, bright-eyed and enthusiastic, and he was ready to take on the world. And he sent out hundreds of CVs and had dozens of job interviews, and a few employees were ready to hire him, but he wasn't sure about it, and he kept searching for an appropriate position, and the interview for this job where he worked was short, and at the end of the interview he was offered a job. And since then he was promoted several times, and he he shifted across various departments and branches, and he rose to be head of marketing and sales. But it was a long and hard journey. He had to work 24/7, literally, of course, but his typical work day started at 7 a.m. He checked emails and responded to the most urgent ones. Then he had a cup of coffee and headed to his office. His working day, he worked from 9 to 5, and in his responsibilities there were he should schedule meetings, return calls, arrange conference calls, made marketing and product and sales proposals, and in the evenings he had to go to business meetings and corporate parties. And even when he returned home, his work didn't stop, because their offices were in different time zones, so he had some work to do at home. And several times he was on the edge of exhaustion. He was sleep deprived, and his parents worried about him, because his mother quitted her job partly because of her problems with health, caused by her workaholism and poor life-work balance. And she worked as a teacher, and his father worked for all his life. He worked as a factory worker, but back in his youth he used to be involved in labor union activity, and whenever the workers didn't like something, they organized strikes. They went on strikes to demand better work conditions. And his father was helping to organize a strike, and they could reduce working hours, so they could reduce their shifts to 12 hours with the same salary. And eventually his father was promoted to be a factory supervisor, and he retired 10 years ago. But my friend Patrick couldn't go on a strike. The only way out for him was to work more, and taking a day off was frowned upon in his environment, and he could take a sick leave only once or twice a year. And once he was on the age of quitting his job, but at that time his wife was on maternity leave, so he couldn't leave the job and leave his family without any income. And when he was going to his boss's office, so he opened the door and saw an explosion of confetti pieces raining down on him, and a bunch of balloons, and a banner, happy birthday banner across the table, and his colleagues were shouting, surprise, happy birthday. So it was his birthday that day. And his boss patted him on the back, and it was just a birthday prank. And his boss said that he fell for it. Yes, but Patrick realized that that's enough for him. That was enough for him. He just slowly turned and left his office. So this is how he quitted his job.